Joining me now to talk about this and much more, MSNBC contributor James Peterson and MSNBC contributor and former Bush-Cheney senior advisor Robert Trainum. Robert, let's start with you. You know, we heard the president-elect talk on New Year's Eve, not just in that video, but also on the front steps of Mar-a-Lago, speaking with reporters, talking about the Russian interference in the U.S. election, saying that he has other information people don't know about, etc. Why wait to share it here if you're Donald Trump?
Good morning and Happy New Year. I'm not exactly sure. I suspect that the president-elect has received a confidential briefing, which he's entitled to, obviously, since he's going to be president the next couple of days, where perhaps maybe he has something new that obviously we're not privy to. To your question as to why he's not released it yet, I don't know the answer to that. The only thing I do know is that this president-elect loves theater, he loves drama, he loves kind of teasing things out there, and the only thing I have to give you is examples of all throughout the campaign where he talked about the birther certificate, and he teased that out and said that he was going to make an announcement at Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. I mean, you're just going down the list. So this president-elect knows marketing. He knows theater. He knows how to keep people in suspense. And I suspect that that's what he's doing on this New Year's.
So just to press you on that a bit here, Robert, I mean, you're saying words like theater, drama, marketing. Are those appropriate in the same sentence when we're talking about national security, when we're talking about interference with our election? At some point, does Donald Trump have to put the marketing part of it aside to deal with these serious issues?
This man has 250 million lives vested in him for the next 4 years here in this country, and he's got billions across the world. So, yes, absolutely, you have to put theater and marketing aside because you're talking about people's lives here. You're talking about people's livelihoods here. You're talking about national security. You're talking about geopolitics all around the world. So, yes, he should put this aside and take this very seriously. I presume that he's doing that, but we shall see.
James, what do you think of this? I mean, is the onus, is the burden here on the intelligence community to prove to the president-elect that, in fact, their assessments are correct and that Russia did interfere? Or is the burden on the president-elect himself and his team to trust and accept the assessments that the intel community is giving him?
Well, Hallie, I think that's the key question, which is what exactly is going to be the interface between the president-elect once he becomes president and the intelligence communities. It seems to me that President-elect Trump is trying to chart a different course in terms of the interface between the office of the president and the CIA and FBI and other intelligence agencies. That could be really, really complicated, or could get really, really complicated really, really quickly, in the sense that he's got to rely on them on a regular basis for information. If he's saying publicly he doesn't trust those information sources, one, that erodes the credibility of the institution in the eyes of the American public, but two, just think about the folks in those agencies, Hallie, who have to put their lives on the line in some instances to collect some of this data and collect some of this information. If their leader is suspicious of them or publicly embarrasses them, I think that sets up an antagonistic relationship that doesn't bode well for the future of policy in terms of intelligence. And to you and Robert's discussion about marketing and the kind of histrionics of the president-elect transition, that also does not bode well for the world in which we live. I mean, we can talk about marketing, we can talk about President-elect Trump's flair for the dramatic, but we also have to think really, really critically about when it gets down to brass tacks to making policy decisions based on intelligence information, is he going to be credible and capable of doing those things in his own administration?
I want you both to listen to what the president-elect said about the role of cybersecurity in his administration over the weekend, and we'll talk about it after. Listen.
If you have something really important, write it out and have it delivered by courier the old-fashioned way. Because I'll tell you what, no computer is safe. I don't care what they say, no computer is safe.
James, to you first. What is your just initial reaction to that from the president-elect?
It's absurd. All right, that statement is absolutely. First of all, Hallie, have a press conference. Okay, stand before the American people. And allow the media to ask questions instead of you just sort of leaking out these little bits of information, different commentary. That's absolutely absurd. But listen, this might play well to his base or might play well to certain aspects of his base, but to state the obvious, which is that obviously computers are vulnerable to cyber attack, and then to sort of undermine that by suggesting something about carrier pigeons, that's just absurd. It doesn't make any sense. We're talking about a very, very serious accusation against a foreign government and tampering in an American election. All Americans should want to get down to the bottom of that. The time for jokes and sort of euphemisms around this, I think, is well past.
I don't know that he was joking necessarily. Robert, what's your take on that? And I mean, the practicality of this. Yeah, the president-elect saying no computer is safe. It's 2017, talking about, delivering things through courier, et cetera. What's your take? I mean, it seems eyebrow-raising, to say the least.
Well, I think he has got a point. I mean, if you just want to take him seriously for a moment here, he's right. No computer is safe. I think we know that, and we know that through the WikiLeaks. We know that through the DNC hack and the whole 9 yards. But there's a larger point here, which was obviously raised a few moments ago. It appears that another country tried to influence an American election. That is chilling on so many different levels. What's also chilling is that we have people out there that call President Putin brilliant and smart and so forth. This is a man who used to head the KGB. This is a man who annexed
The president-elect
Crimea.
called him that, Robert.
So my point simply is that we have to take this very seriously, and we have to take. I don't even understand why we're even having this conversation. I mean, I think any logical person with just an elementary education would say that that computers can be hacked,
Sure.
and that another country tried to influence our election. That's the bigger point that I think that the president-elect was trying to make.
To handle the business of the nation, though, Robert, to handle the business of the nation via courier, I mean, how did you take that?
Well, I think. Okay, I think he was trying to be a little cute with words. I would have not used that phraseology, obviously. But I think his larger point is that we are vulnerable to cyber attacks, and perhaps maybe going back to a more traditional method. And I remind you, before we had computers, we had nuclear technology. I remind you, before we had computers, we had other issues in terms of how we communicated with foreign leaders. So I think what he's trying to say is that there's an opportunity here for us to rethink our technology and to make sure that we're safe.
Okay, Robert Trainum, James Peterson, we have to leave it there for today, but thank you both for being with us on this Holiday Monday. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Thank you. Happy
Speaking
New
of
Year.
this Holiday Monday, you too. Millions of Americans trying to head home, right? But look at this, long lines, bad weather. This is a live look right now at Dallas Airport. We're going to have a look at your holiday travel coming up next. Plus, a big week ahead for President Obama as he plans to visit Capitol Hill to try to protect his signature legislation, even as Donald Trump promises to undo it. We're talking about that next.
Say goodbye to winter blues and aloha primetime golf. The SBS Tournament of Champions, Thursday on Golf Channel and this weekend on NBC.
You got those eyes staring into my soul.
After becoming one of the largest broadband companies in the country, after expanding our fiber network coast to coast, these are the places we call home. We are CenturyLink. We believe in the power of the digital world, the power to connect, and that's what drives us every day.
That was really good.
CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
I'm only in my 60s. I've got a nice long life ahead, big plans. So when I found out Medicare doesn't pay all my medical expenses, I got a Medicare supplement insurance plan.
If you're eligible for Medicare, you may know it only covers about 80% of your Part B medical expenses. The rest is up to you. Call now and find out about an AARP Medicare supplement insurance plan insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company. Like all standardized Medicare supplement insurance plans, it could save you in out-of-pocket medical costs. Call now to request your free decision guide.
I've been with my doctor for 12 years. Now I know I'll be able to stick with them.
You'll be able to visit any doctor or hospital that accepts Medicare patients. Plus, there are no networks and virtually no referrals needed.